Amazon could be moving into your local mall. That's right. The e-commerce giant is in talks with Simon Property Group to replace closed department stores. Simon is the largest mall owner in the U.S., and the Wall Street Journal reported yesterday that Amazon would convert former or current JCPenney and Sears stores into distribution hubs. It could be a win-win situation. Amazon would get more space closer to where customers live, which would speed up shipping times. And mall owners would get a cash-rich tenant to replace their bankrupt anchor stores. Wow, this is like one of the best ideas I've heard in a long time. That makes perfect sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. You have extra space. You have someone, a company, I should say, that's willing and able to use that space. A company that is one of those that's actually flourishing during this time.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult. We hate to hear that some people are doing so poorly while others are doing well. I mean, let's face it, Amazon is profiting off of COVID-19.
Yes,
but, we don't have a choice because a lot of what they have to offer, we need it. But to have the convenience of going to a mall and be able to just pick up what you need right away instead of waiting for shipping. I mean, obviously Amazon is known for having incredibly quick shipping. A lot of times you can get stuff the next day if you order it before a certain time. But imagine being able to go to the mall and pick up things. That would be great. Convenience.
Very convenient, as you said, especially during this time when people not just are looking to avoid things such as going out to places, but they are seeking convenience. But from a safety aspect, there are some people that would prefer not to be in stores, just to make as certain as they can that they are not in contact with as many people. So this certainly has the promise of what could be a very good idea. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and I hear what you're saying. I mean, obviously we don't want to encourage people to be out shopping and so forth, but sometimes there's just things that you need to get immediately. I mean, if you have, an emergency situation and you can't wait till the next day to get something, it's great to know that you might have the convenience of being able to go and pick something up right away.
Well, coming up next, we will switch things up. Following the massive explosion last week, there was a massive change made in Lebanese government. We'll have more details on that next on BNC Now. With Laverne McGee, I am Anthony Amy. This is BNC Now, and here is something that you don't hear very often. Lebanon's government resigned earlier today amid widespread public fury at the country's ruling elite over last week's devastating explosion in Beirut. The move risks opening the way to dragged out negotiations over a new cabinet amid urgent calls for reform. Prime Minister Hassan Diab headed to the presidential palace to submit the cabinet's group resignation, according to Health Minister Ahmad Hassan. It follows a weekend of anti-government protests in the wake of the August 4th explosion in Beirut's port that caused widespread destruction, killed at least 160 people, and injured about 6,000 others. Prime Minister Diab added, quote, "They knew that we pose a threat to them and that the success of this government means a real change in this long ruling class whose corruption has asphyxiated the country. Today we follow the will of the people and their demand to hold accountable those responsible for the disaster that has been in hiding for 7 years and their desire for real change." This, by the way, marked the third straight day in which protesters took to the streets in Beirut.
Right, so Hassan Diab has been in power since last December, so less than a year, and he was brought in after the popular uprising that brought down the previous government. His government has been backed by technocrats and also political parties, including Hezbollah, which is a political and militant group, of course. So I think there's a whole lot more to this story. There's a lot more going on here. I don't think it was just, you know what, let's just do the right thing and resign. There's some politics behind this.
There's usually always something that follows, something that massive in terms of change. There's no question.
Yeah, it's a difficult situation there. Again, of course, people hoping to try to rebuild, but I mean, where do you even begin with something like this?
Especially when, again, upwards of 300,000 people were displaced from their homes. You have that. You're dealing with, obviously homelessness. You're dealing with poverty. You're dealing with people that are in need of not just emergency medical supplies, but also food supplies. It's a crazy, awful situation to be a part of, and now the government has been turned over, so to speak.
Yeah, I'm wondering, it almost makes me wonder if this was, something going on behind the scenes, and they were trying to get rid of this government, or who knows. I mean, experts are right now, of course, looking into it and questioning, all of these questions that I'm talking about. I've been reading about how it just, something doesn't quite add up there. And of course, we won't know for some time to come, but unfortunately, it's the people who are suffering.
It's still just startling to think about 2,750 tons, over 2,700 tons of ammonium nitrate used in that explosion. And again, comparing it to the Oklahoma City bombing in 1995, where 2 tons of the same chemical was used. 2,700 tons, still hard to get those images and those videos out of your mind. Hard to unsee it.
Sure is. Well, still to come, a little less magic. One of the happiest places on earth is set to reduce its hours. Find out the reason why when BNC Now returns.